council meeting to order, August 1st, 2017, at 7 o'clock. Have a blessing, Stephen.
Yes. Lord, we do ask for your blessing upon the city of St. John, on the members of the commission and the council and all that are here tonight. Give wisdom, guidance, and direction. In Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Additions to the agenda. Evaluation, movie in the square, purchase a radio of $528, air conditioning, hail damage, and the phone system. Any other additions?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second on the additions to the agenda. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4 and 5 and 4. Public hearing for a budget. Is there any comments about the budget?
I think you have to open the budget and you just have to.
Okay, we gotta open a public hearing for the budget. Any comments? I'd entertain a motion from the council
To approve it.
to approve it.
So
Want
moved.
to discuss it, or you tell me
Well,
what?
there's a mill levy increase in the budget. You sure you want the mill levy increase?
Shouldn't be.
I think there is.
We can.
Not with you, you can increase it to a certain level, but I think there's
Yeah,
a,
I think there's like a point. It's not enough to,
it's not enough to put you over the limit, but there's a mill levy increase. I have it right, and there is, sure. Okay, you went from 58 to 59.6.
It says.
Where are you looking at, Jim?
Actual tax rates.
Yeah, tax rates, that's your mill levy. You're at 58.015 in 2007, you're going to 59.653 in 18. Increase the mill levy and property values go up, you're increasing the taxation rate.
We can't increase the mill unless we have a budget.
You can increase it to a certain level, Bobby.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Trying to look at the statute.
Yeah.
We're not in the election.
Yeah, you're under the elections, but we are increasing the mill levy. It's under the election, under the statute, but does everybody realize that you're increasing the mill levy, therefore if the valuations go up, you're increasing the budget.
I guess that, I thought that's what we talked about in the special meeting. I thought we kind of all agreed that that's the way it should go.
Yeah, but we didn't discuss that there is truly a mill levy increase. As long as everybody's aware of it, I mean, everybody should be aware of that, that you are increasing the mill levy.
Right.
And if there's a valuation increase in the taxing district, you're going to be raising more money and increasing taxes on the population.
the council think about it? You wanna try to cut something else out? Is it too late to do that? I don't know.
When do we have to have that done?
Like I said, bear with me. This is, I don't know much about this part of anything, so. I
You'll
do
catch
know-
on.
Where is that new one at? Oh, Bob's got it. Let me see.
That's-
Bob.
Let me check back to my notes here.
I'm not saying the budget's wrong, but I'm just saying that as long as
Yeah,
everybody
I-
knows that you are increasing the taxing rate.
What does that equate to? Dollar wise?
You know what the evaluation is? Off the top. I don't think we have our evaluation on there, is it? Well, the ad valorem tax, doesn't tell you. It's, yeah, it doesn't tell you what the ad valorem tax is going to be in 18, it tells you what it was in 17. And that's probably because we don't have the evaluation done yet.
Yeah, I want to say it needs to be done today. Because he told me I have to have it in the paper by July 26th. And then August 1st is the budget hearing.
It's going up. It's about 1 point,
At 1.6.
1.6.
Yeah, it's about a 2% increase.
Last week. Oh, last. Yeah, oh, today's a 5-2.
Yeah, it just announced a 2% mill levy increase, but everybody should know that. And if the valuation goes up 5%, then it's a 10% mill levy tax increase, so.
Is there a certain area you think we can cut or change or?
Well, I think there's a lot of areas that you can cut or change. Whether you have the cojones to do it or not. Your major expense is always personnel.
This doesn't require an election, right?
It has to be within the consumer price index.
And it's within the consumer price index.
And I have no idea what the consumer price index went up. If you're saying 2%.
I think it's about 2%.
This is just as of January 1, 2017.
But that just takes care of your mill levy. It doesn't take care of the evaluation changes. So it can be a double whammy because your evaluation can go up and then therefore your property tax goes up across the board. Not just the 2%, but whatever the property tax change, the evaluation change.
Let's look back here to see when it closes. See if we can find it.
I don't think we have the evaluations yet. We did the county clerk would have.
It's correct.
They should be done.
Already on that here.
Also, back in minutes.
little from what 16 and 17. We went up considerably in 18.
Oh, that's voted.
Go back to that, because that was 2017 mill levy is actual. 2018 is estimated. But we made changes since then too.
She might not have it later to change.
It's showing 2017 was 63.285. On the computer here on the mill levy, but I don't know if that's right or not.
That's what we told them.
Yeah.
That's what this is showing. It has that and that number.
This is an estimate, but it's higher than 17 and 15.
Well, this was clear back from the first meeting in July. It says valuation for 2018 is $5,970,954.
5.975.
5.970,954. 2017 was 5,921,870.
Yeah.
So we have an increase of 1%.
That's what was on our budget deal for the 1st of July when we first discussed it. See, our actual is 63.285 for the 2017.
63,285 for 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, right there, that's actual tax rate on there. Yeah, that.
And it's showing proposed for 2018 of an actual or for of 64.490.
It's a little bit higher than 16, 18. Down quite a bit in 17.
I'm not saying I object, I just say we need to be aware of what we're doing.
As it stands right now, I don't know if we got much choice.
We probably don't, but we need to be aware of what we're doing.
We're gonna have to start doing some cutting, guys.
Because it'll be a completely different story next year. Won't be able to do 19s. Anyway, I guess I'll still make that motion to approve the budget for 2018. Second.
We've got a motion and a second on the table to accept the public budget 2018. Any more discussion? Any entertained vote? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0.
Okay, so now I need signatures.
All of us? Both of them or just the one sheet?
Both of them,
Jamie,
please. Yes.
on the checks that we're writing,
Yes.
KDHE, was it 36,000 or something? What is that?
I believe that one was,
What, it's in my packet,
I don't know if there'd be more information on this.
Yeah, 36.7.
That is for Jason's wastewater. Is it on this one or the last one?
It's on this one.
Is that our repayment for the,
Is that for the water treatment plant? Is that a bond issue or something there?
I think it might be for our payment.
I think it's $100,000. But do we do quarterly?
Is that on the nitric plant?
Yes.
It's the
Every
Department of Health
quarterly
and
payment.
It says Kansas Department of Health and Environment.
I don't understand why it would go back to them. I thought it was their bond issue, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I did
Oh,
not
that's what I
sign
thought
this,
was a
so I
bond
don't know.
issue.
I do not know. I did not see that.
Vendor number.
Oh, you know, it might be a repayment deal. They have a low interest deal and that might be part of it.
I think it
It
is.
sure could be,
This one.
because we're allowed to
We
borrow.
borrowed money from
Yeah.
them for that.
I'll bet that's what
Second
it is.
nitrate lump payment.
Yep, that's what it is. Yeah, they went through that this spring when I was at that water school about those options if you wanted to borrow from them.
So that's the quarterly payment, so you're saying.
Well, it's a portion of it, probably yearly payment.
I think it is for like 20 years or something. They stretch them out pretty long,
No, this one's stretched out.
but it's just part of it.
Right.
I mean, part of it came from the state.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
supposed to be a 10-year payout, I think. Because we put so much money down.
Because you just borrowed a portion
We
of it
just
from
borrowed a
them.
portion of it.
Yeah.
Seems like that's down about a million.
It must all be through them.
Yeah, I
It
think
could
it's all
be.
through then. I think it will be up in 2033 is what this is showing.
So it is, yeah, it started in 13 or started in 14. probably. Was done in 13.
Started 2/1 of 14.
Yeah, started in 14.
And we make 2 payments a year.
There you go.
It's the current loan balance. Well, that's what
26, I think.
this as of today would be a little under
About
969,000.
70,000.
$100 million.
70,000. 970,000.
$970,000.
I know
$100
that-
million.
I know the interest is real low on that money, and it's a real long-term deal. Yeah.
Any other questions, Jim?
No, that's it.
Okay, we got the budget passed, everybody signed it. I need to sign it too, I suppose. Public hearing on the TIF district. We gotta open that too, I suppose. We'll open a public hearing on the TIF district, which is the TIF tax that we talked about 2 council meetings ago, I believe it was. Any comments? Carl? Anything about? No? Carolyn?
Everything new, I'm available for.
You got any questions for either one of them?
Hey, just a minute, on the TIF district, we kind of talked about, well, I had some people talk to me about maybe expanding it, because then we're gonna have to go through all this paperwork again, if someone else wanted to come in and build like out along there, it doesn't cost us anything, and it might be an incentive to get people to come here and build something.
And that's what I kind of talked about last time. but I think one thing that I didn't get across was that the way it's wrote now is, I believe, why John was maybe saying that it wouldn't go back to the or that it goes back to the grocery store. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if we were to expand it, we would need to rewrite it to help out all of the parcels.
Right.
And I think that was something that maybe I didn't relay well enough last time.
You could do several different TIF districts. The problem is I don't know how you would do, and I've never heard of a TIF district where you're creating a district without, you gotta have a plan, there has to be a district plan. And so I guess it would have to be depending on where you're doing the district.
Could the plan be economic development or?
I don't know, but like the reason there's statutory things the council has to look at in developing the TIF district. This the one that we've kind of used here is kind of economic obsolescence, meaning that it's reached the pinnacle of its economic development for that area of land. It's not doing anything more than, or what you're doing is going to increase the economic viability of that land, which is building the grocery store. So I don't know. There are a number of economic development tools, other revenue, sales tax revenue, other type of revenue districts, economic districts. And there's just a bunch of them statutorily. I mean,
Well, yeah, my understanding though is that this is kind of the nature of the two-part process. There is establishing a district, but then there's that second piece we'll do in the next month that is establishing the plan for a particular project, right? I mean, couldn't you say this is a TIF district that we intend to have available for residential development or whatever, and then you could work with a developer without the uncertainty of, well, what kind of tools might we use in this town? You'd know that there's a district that is authorized for the use of. And then we had a particular plan, we'd come and do what we're going to do in the next 2 weeks and say, this is our plan. We would like to create 5 houses or whatever, and that's your TIF plan for how the incremental revenues of that particular development would be used. And it might be, in that case, it might be used for the street infrastructure or the sewer or whatever. Because that's the plan you're putting forth with that, right? We've got a district ordinance, and then we've got a plan working.
Candidly, every time I've ever seen any of these used, the point is to shrink it down specifically so that the development you're helping finance is the development going into the TIF district, so that you don't have businesses competing against the new businesses going in, because that business is then receiving the benefit of the tax dollars generated by the TIF district. So I don't know. I mean, I'll do whatever work you want me to, and I can look into it further, but I've not spent a hell of a lot of time looking into this. Carolyn's attorney is kind of the one that's drafted everything up to this point. I just know what you may want to do is there are people trained specifically for economic development through the Department of Commerce in Kansas. And I know from in the past when Greensburg was rebuilding, and they were, had open arms to trying to figure out different ways of economic development, and that's what you're looking for. I've never heard of a situation where we're just going to create a TIF district and see what happens. If somebody wants to do something, that is available and it can be put together in a relatively short period of time. I mean, this was.
I was going to say, how much work is it to create a TIF district?
What was the resolution? 60 days for hearing.
I mean, maybe it's just something we offered.
What's the cost? Most of it be legal, right?
Publication costs.
Publication
We've
costs.
borne the cost of the preparation of the ordinance and the legal side that way.
So does the city pay for it, Equideville pay
No,
for it?
economic development paid for it with
Well,
the grant that we got from
but
the
if we
Sunflower
have another one,
Foundation.
will
Thus far,
Equideville
we
pay for
have accumulated about $6,000 in legal fees.
It's kind of a cart before the horse kind of thing. I mean, if there was a plan or a thought that, for instance, we're going to add sewage and whatever needs to be done, I've heard that there's a business park that doesn't have much there to it. You know, I think council can say this is the goal. What economic development tools will be available? These aren't tools you're creating. These are tools that exist. They're statutory tools. You just got to use them. I mean, you're not really implementing anything or doing anything. They're there for your use anytime you want them.
So it could be, well, if we have more, be in your budget, our budget, whose budget is going to be under, or is that negotiable?
I mean,
Well, we had budget for it in this case
Okay.
specifically because of the grant we received
Okay.
related to development of the grocery store. I mean, I want to say we're agreeable to working together on this, but we don't have unlimited. I can't obligate funds
That you don't have?
that I don't have, or but we have a relationship established with someone at this point that has expertise in that. I'm sure it wouldn't be that big of a deal
I guess the
to
thing
offer
about
some.
it is if someone did want to come in and build somewhere, we need to do it. We do have 1% sales tax
There-
money that
there
we're
are-
spending on a grocery store that we could apply to going towards funding that
there are
illegal part of the TIF
booklets
district.
online. I mean,
I
there used to
think
be
we do
small
it.
town.
Step at a
Case
time.
one step at a
Yeah.
time.
That's what I
We
thought.
build,
Where we
get,
would
get this
I mean,
one.
yeah,
You get this one built first, and then we build off of it later.
I mean, the only thing I can think, and you can only use a portion of it, but is what the city owns as creating a TIF district. I mean, I'm sure you could do it on somebody else's property, but you might just be wasting your time if they never ever sell their property.
Or they never, I mean, I don't know, some things that have crossed my mind is if there's a desire to emphasize development in the downtown district. In fact, I had this conversation with someone from Maxville today. I mean, I'm not the attorney with the authority here, we could check into it more, but my understanding is you could designate that area as your targeted redevelopment district, and therefore, if you wanted more, examples of like what Ag 360 is doing to rebuild a building in your downtown district, you could create that incentive to, try to cultivate that.
I think we just leave it how it is.
Step at a time.
I agree.
Something I am gonna try to do more research on. I know Russell's Main Street has a lot of like loans, and one of my friends is actually
Lawrence, I mean, a lot of downtown
yeah.
areas.
So I was gonna. One of my friends is
Is
the
that
Main
what
Street director, so I was gonna.
Brad
look
done
at
with their
that.
new
We have a low interest loan program too.
theater or whatever?
The new what?
Movie theater.
Oh, the movie theater was bought by a nonprofit. Right. I mean, they're good. Well, I mean, the only thing Pratt has is neighborhood revitalization, which I think you guys have. Anyways, I mean, it may be just some of these things need to be moved to a part of your website where potential companies or potential developers can go to and look at the tools available offered to the state of Kansas.
Now, I thought Pratt had a TIF, and they have 11 parcels in it that it's not active right now, but they did it for future growth.
Yeah, I don't.
They did a progressive, that way if somebody calls, they can say, we already have a TIF in place, this is the area or the 11 parcels in place. But I think Pratt has one.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't have anything to do with Pratt.
But they probably have more of a plan of where they can go to build too.
Yeah.
And my
I mean,
understanding
more
of it is that,
available.
like in Wyandotte County, looking at how they use that for the speedway, that was their first, and then they later designated the area that's now the Legends a TIF.
Yeah, but those are star bonds. I mean, those
There
have
were
to be.
TIFs too, though.
They have to be specific. Yeah, I mean, those are bonds. I mean, that's when your TIF district is paying off bonds. I guess I'm a little confused. I mean, you're asking somebody then, you're saying we will pay back a certain amount of money to you. We've got this district established that will pay back money to you. Whatever, use to finance the district. I don't know. I mean,
Well, star bonds are specifically for tourism attractions.
but I mean, as far as Pratt's set, however they set theirs up, I don't know. I mean, if council wants me to look into it, I can look into it. I
just say, like you said, put it on the website, say we have capabilities of doing this.
I'd rather do it that way. I mean, just case by case or place by place or whatever. Just offer it out there to them if it's available. So do we need to?
Oh, yeah, we've got the ordinance.
Is there? What's the ordinance? Do we have to? Do we have to have the ordinance
I
number?
thought that it had to, does it have to pass and then I get the ordinance numbers?
You have the ordinance. It doesn't, usually it's one of those things, you include what was said at the hearing, but
I mean, ordinance number, didn't that come from the city? Like it's a.
We already passed the.
we have to pass
ordinance.
the ordinance, you already passed the resolution.
Oh, the ordinance was what we got like Friday last week? Okay.
I just was under the understanding we had to go through today before I got a number, so I could be wrong. So I'll just go get a number for the code book.
It just always depends on how you hear it.
We passed it last time.
I think that was the resolution. This would be the ordinance.
First, we
Or
need to
the
adopt the
district.
ordinance.
It's just printing it out.
Your TIF district, I would think you should concentrate on Cleary one and include it in this one that we got going. Just
-17. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1045-17.
Second.
got a motion and a second to pass, what, 1042?
1045.
1045.
-17.
-17. And that has to do with the TIF district.
This is only the TIF district, exactly the size as what was included in the resolution.
Which is that was in the resolution.
Which is that piece of property.
Which is the piece of property with the grocery store.
Grocery store.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Citizen comments? Any citizen comments? Consent agenda. Approve the minutes of regular council meeting July 18, 2017. Appropriation ordinance 08, 2017, $158,000, $475,081.
So
I
moved.
said that. $158,475.81.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? 5-0, passes. Department heads and committees. Grant administration. Lisa's not here. Police chief, Adam Sandler.
The air conditioner that's on the east side of the second story sits on top of basically where the run is here for the city building. It quit working last week. Kevin went up and looked at it. I don't know if we passed anything on to you, Ryan, about what's actually going
I
on
just
with
got
it.
back from vacation, so no, I don't
Okay. Apparently it's got, he sent some pictures to Jamie, it's got some hail damage on it, it quit working. I'm sorry, whatever's going on with it, it keeps tripping the breaker. So he fixed it temporarily, I don't know, to bypass or whatever to keep it working. But he had mentioned getting a quote, I don't know if he
I don't think you got a quote, but I have the pictures, and I believe I need to check into insurance, but I've not done so yet, and I will do that tomorrow.
He relayed there was considerable hail damage on it. I think it was his opinion that was what was causing some of the issues.
Do I need the quote before I go to, do I need something from you guys before I go to the insurance?
Usually, when you have a hailstorm, the insurance company expects like $100 to have somebody come defend, which it's probably been over 20 years of hail damage up there. I would assume. I think it's fairly old.
It looks pretty rough.
It may be older than that, but maybe over the years they've collected $100 and then went on. So just an assumption, but I don't think I was architect or something.
Get with the insurance and find out.
Okay, anything else, Adam?
That's all I got.
Any questions for Adam? Fire chief,
I think
He's not here.
Marshall's gonna take over.
Marshall?
We've got a radio that needs replaced, and it was above his spending limit of $28. So he needs approval for that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What kind of,
It's one for in the truck.
motor?
Yeah, same one that we bought in the past.
What happened to the old one?
Just, it's old. It just doesn't, it's not working. Been having issues with it. It's not feasible to send them in and spend $400 for repairing on it.
Do we need to vote or do we just have consent?
Need a vote if it's over the
So we're
spending.
spending it.
We have it in the budget. Yeah. Okay.
I move to allow Chief Sanders to purchase a new radio at $528. Second.
We have a motion on the table and a second. Purchase a new radio for the fire department. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0. City clerk, Jamie, Donna's not here.
Okay. I'm busy. My first order of business is we collect money and for the alcohol tax, it goes into the special parks and recreation fund, and that money can only be used for different parks. And the square is actually a park. And I checked with our accountant just to make sure before I brought it up. And I think Jeff has actually maybe brought it up in the past, and I had no idea, but he had this awesome picture printed out because it's his dream. But I thought it would be neat, just thinking of different ideas to have things go on downtown and get people more involved in downtown. I've been thinking of some other things that I'll be talking about, like movies in the park, bands even coming. There's bands that'll play for fairly cheap. And I had just talked to him a little bit about different options, and he had brought this up, and so I kind of looked into it, and I'm sure you can tell him a little bit more about it since.
It's just a picture I found. At one time there was a band shell in the park, and I think not too many years back, we had some summertime stuff going on with different people. Had the Martin County or Great Bend summer evening concert series deal go on down here a few times. Bill Causey did a few things down here. Eden Valley Church has done some stuff over here. There's been different functions that have gone on during the summer, and I think if you want to attract people, that the way you do that is to give them a place to be able to do those. And in turn, I think it will help the attendance of things that go on down here. Right now, you can throw a baseball across here about any time you want. You're not going to play it Saturday night, Tuesday night, don't make any difference. But this is something I've had hanging by my desk for about a year. And before I got very deep into it, I went to the Hesperian Club. And the reason I did that is because the Hesperian Club funded the money for the wall. They funded the money for the fountain. And so I kind of wanted a blessing from them to even try to do anything inside the square, so I didn't upset the older generation of people that have kind of had it the way it is. And they liked it. So I just kind of left it there. You know, I didn't know whether there was any fund money available to do anything or not, but, you know, countless times over the last 10 years or 15 years when it came to Jubilee time, we've gone to the point that we have no stage left. So this year we rented one, and we, you know, it's $500 or $600 that we spend, which is not a lot of money. But I still think that something a little more permanent might attract more weekend, summertime stuff going on here, and in turn it'll bring people to town. But like I said, I didn't know whether there were funds available to do any of that or part of it or any of that. But I think most of this work could be done by my guys. You know, during the off season, I've got 2 pretty good concrete hands, and you know, the outside construction is basically just a post framework and a metal roof. So, you know, if we needed some outside help, I think we could probably get some help from, you know, from some outside sources, get some ideas or maybe even a little guidance on how to do it. But I think most of it there's 2 of us on there that have built a few houses over the years, and I think we could probably get it mastered, you know, without spending very much outside money. So it was kind of a, like Jamie said, probably more of a dream than anything. I've just left it to look at, wait and see if there was any funds available to help do it.
So which one is it?
We looked, was it Friday?
We talked a little bit about it Friday when I was in here. I don't know whether I heard you come to a consensus
I
about
believe
how much
it's
we
about
did.
13,000 right now, and then I just got another thing from the state, and it's over 1,000 that will be put in Friday. So, I mean,
And it's all material.
Yeah,
It'll all be material. I mean, there won't be any labor costs involved because we'll do it, you know, we'll do the labor ourselves. And we'll sell the material in the northwest corner is kind of what we thought.
I think it's a pretty good idea.
And then leave the base part of it below the height of the wall so that you could still see through it. And then eventually either get a vinyl or some type of a curtain where if it did rain, where you could close sides of it up if there was equipment in there and that stuff. Build storage in there that was lockable so that everything would be right there, and on a moment's notice you could set up electricity and that stuff. So that's as far as I got with it though. So
I mean, anything that would bring life to the square and even to the city, in my opinion, is a good thing.
we're a little short on it.
Yeah, we're very, very short on it.
And there hasn't been that many years ago that we did have some stuff going on downtown, you know, and even, like I said, church groups, stuff like that. You know, we've had some outside church groups that have done some concert stuff and ice cream, social, you know, hamburger feed, stuff like that.
Getting something like this built, the possibilities to get others involved is really great. I think I can speak for the library that they would definitely be in on something to help sponsor.
I think if you spoke to Tony Delp, you know, he's with that concert series out of Great Bend, I think you could have him come down a time or two in the summer, and the older group of people would enjoy something like that, you know, throw ice cream and stuff in with it.
Right.
I think it'd bring people to town. Can't hurt anything.
Nope.
You're brainstorming about the square that Bobby and I have talked about it before, and I've thought about it since I've lived here. Any other place, except maybe western Kansas, the square would have apartments up above. Lynchburg is starting to put some apartments downtown. We were there where Lynchburg the other night. They're starting to put in some apartments in their abandoned buildings downtown. If you're doing Eco Devo, it falls into public good. You have the rights of eminent domain for people, but if you need to use it, you can use it. But you can get the bank and other people on it. Those buildings a lot of them have apartments already upstairs and offices for conversion. So it's a beautiful location. It takes money and ideas, and people want to part with property or be encouraged to part with property.
You know, even the building that that we bought at Dillon's is upstairs that way. I mean, you know, it also has the capability to.
Yeah.
It used to be an
So,
apartment.
Yeah.
So
Is that blocked by ordinance or something? Why-
there's a lot of
Isn't
things
there
you could
something
do
about
if you
something
have
about
the
I
money, wherewithal, and
don't think.
I don't think there is a tax for that.
Living on the square.
Yeah.
Live upstairs.
You can live
Yeah.
upstairs, I think.
Kevin and
yeah.
Laura's.
And if you can't, change the rules.
Change it, yeah.
Well, I don't have a problem with someone else.
I mean, I'm like Jim, you know, I've been in most of those buildings on the south side, and there's a, you know, you could do a lot of wonderful things with them if you just had the incentive to do it, I think, you know.
And there's
And we try to keep it decorated and keep it mowed and keep it cleaned up, you know, but it's really sad
But it's
because
abandoned.
we just don't have any action over here at all.
You know,
Working on it.
the first thing that I ever thought of when I first came to this town was how picturesque the square was, and how it just reminded me of Norman Rockwell. And it's a beautiful square, but unfortunately, like you just said, we have nobody here.
It's the status of the community.
Right.
I mean, you know, all the stuff that we do, even clear up to our headers on our letters, they've all got a picture of the fountain on them, you know. Sherry's brother has a beautiful picture, hand-painted picture above his fireplace in his house. He pushed that deal years ago when he was still an attorney here in town to get it going, but unfortunately over the years, it's just kind of kept dwindling down. But, you know, I think if this generation of people doesn't do it, I'm afraid of what the next one's going to look like. And I really want my grandkids to stay here, you know. But it takes it, and I think a committee or two of outside people, you know, and some outside thought. I can tell you something. This gal here's worked harder at this the last 30 days than it's been done in here in the last 3 years, because she's got the drive to do it. It's just a matter of getting the people and the ideas right to put it together. But we've got to start somewhere.
How big of platform or square footage area was you talking
That
about?
was 24-foot square, I think, is what I guessed it at. And it could be even, you know, I think most of the stages that we do, they want a minimum of 16 feet. And, you know, you could cut it down. It's just a picture. I mean, that's all it is. And you can make it to fit anything you want. But the trailers we've been using are 8 wide by 24 or 26. And we put 2 of them together, so that's 16 by 24. So anything like that. But I think this picture is a picture of a square structure. It's not rectangular, it's square. So whatever you do, you know, I think it should be square or somewhat like it. I mean, you can change it to suit yourself, and maybe you don't even like it, but it's just something that kind of fits the decor of downtown, I think. So, and it's still open enough you can see through it, you know.
Could you kind of figure out what a price would?
I think we can
cost?
sit down, figure some material, and the material, you know, we buy it all here in town. We're going to help another business.
Yep.
I mean, you know, the only thing that we don't buy here would be the concrete, but I mean, the concrete people that we use out of Great Bend, they do a lot of work down here. So in return, you know, they take pretty good care of
I
us.
know.
Are you donating?
I'm donating.
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, we've called them guys countless times over since I've been back here, and you know, when we want concrete, we get it, and we've started some curb repairs and stuff like that, which I'll let you know about here in a little bit. But you know, they're a good bunch of guys to work with, and they take good care of us. So, be glad to sit down and figure out what it costs.
Yeah, do so.
All right.
Okay.
Who are you talking about with concrete?
Concrete service.
Concrete service.
No, Great Bend Ready Mix.
Great Bend Ready Mix.
That's who it is. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, my next one, it's been brought to my attention from a few people that they would be interested in Sunday beer sales. So I messaged John the other day and got like the legalities of it. And I believe I put it in your packet so you guys have looked at it. So really what I believe, John, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that they can either choose to move forward with it, and then we would pass an ordinance and it would go to publication, but it has to be in the paper for 2 consecutive weeks, and then it has to wait the 60 days before it becomes effective. So
Yeah, there used to be that the alcohol or liquor laws in Kansas were not uniform. They applied differently to cities of first class and third class. So you had cities that were exempting themselves from Kansas liquor laws and their home rule law, and started doing Sunday sales, started doing other things. And some council member or somewhere in Warren said, well, we're gonna just lower the drinking age to 18. The legislature jumped all over it and then applied uniform liquor laws across the state of Kansas, which means now you can just pass an ordinance instead of having an election, which then allows the opposition to do a petition for a protest petition. I think it's 5% of your voters in the last presidential election. And if that happens, you guys can either withdraw your ordinance or allow the matter to go to public vote.
What if we just put it on the ballot for November? Is that something we can do?
Costs money to put it on the ballot.
Yeah, I know. I
Well,
think
if we don't have to put it on the ballot, we can just go ahead and pass an ordinance, why don't we just go ahead and do that if that's what we plan on doing?
You know, I had one phone call, and I imagine several other people had a phone call. You know, we're elected to make decisions like this, but the objection basically is that maybe we don't want to be open on something. That's a business decision. You know, the wheels didn't come off the bus when we opened the liquor store in town, in spite of the fact that a lot of people thought it was going to come off the bus. So, you know, the wheels are still on the bus.
Just because we pass it, they don't have to be open. Like,
Doesn't
it's
have
their
to be
choice.
open, no, that's
Their
a
choice.
business decision.
If they petition it and it goes to vote, when
Yeah.
does that happen though?
Well, since they moved everything to the fall, I think it'd just be your
Maybe
fall.
it'd be November.
Yeah.
But they,
There's not a special election or anything.
there's not time to put it on that ballot anyway, is there?
Yeah,
At this
I
point, I
talked
don't
to,
know. I'd have to look at the dates, probably. I mean, it could probably happen in your primary elections too, yeah. You're gonna have to have August primaries.
But that's only if it came to that. Is that
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, you get paid.
According
I
to
mean,
what you
yeah.
said, yeah. If a petition was brought up, then it would have to go to that.
Yeah, then it'd have to go. The public has an option
I
then.
mean, it used to be, and I kind of just did a newspaper search, and it used to be that protest petitions were more common on this issue, but like Pratt is trying to do it, and they haven't, I don't think they've got maybe 2 weeks left. They haven't had any indication of any protest petition, and Hayes just recently did it. They thought they were going to, and there was no opposition. I was just curious how often it happened.
Yeah, Stafford, it's doing it, Turner's been doing it.
I don't have a problem with doing something like that.
I move we allow.
Do you want me to create an ordinance number really quickly, or would you
No,
like
I'd
it for next
have
week?
to draft it.
Do we have
Okay,
to?
just kidding, he has to.
I did not.
You're getting too big.
You're behind.
I did not take that.
Why don't we, I move that John create an ordinance.
Okay.
And statute says that they can't be open, or they have to be, they can only be open between the hours of like 11 and 8, so you are restricted.
Yeah,
on
that's-
12 and, I thought it was 12 and 8 according to that.
Yeah.
I think we have a form of a motion on the table.
I don't think
I
you
don't
have
think
to
we
have
need a motion on that.
Oh, we
It's
don't?
just a consensus of the council of what we direct John to do. So,
Yep, that's fine with me. Like a consensus of council.
I don't have a problem with it.
Does anybody have an objection?
well,
I just-
I would
no,
rather
I-
have it put on a ballot and us not decide that. I
Yeah.
feel like there's gonna be a lot of people that object that tonight.
I see your point.
But if they do, they're
But-
gonna petition it.
Right. The thing
I don't
is-
have a problem with it, but.
I don't have a problem with it. I just have talked to the people that have had concerns about it. That are not for it. But
I-
if we pass it and they petition it, it's gonna go to a vote no matter what.
Right.
I see what you're saying, and I agree. The people should be able to say whether or not they want it. And if we do this, we go ahead, and if somebody wants to petition it, they petition, then it goes to a vote, and then the people decide. So, but,
That was fair.
yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
We'll have to have a special election if it goes to a vote. Because we have to get, I talked to Nina over there today, and she said we need to let her know right away if we want it on the ballot for November.
Did she tell you the deadline for putting
She
things
said
in there?
right away. So, I mean, that's not going to be,
Well, that was my question about it, is if they do petition and it has to go to a special election, do we have to pay for that?
That's what I'm saying, we're gonna have to pay for it.
Because if there's a chance that it's going to do that, I don't want to pay for a special election. I'd rather put it on the ballot and be done with it.
Would you have to put it on a special election, or could you just wait to put it on the next
I think
election?
you could wait for the next election. I can see what he's saying, because 60 days from now, if you pass it August, September, October, I don't know what the deadline is.
Well, they can't put it on the ballot.
Because some of the ballots have to be mailed overseas and all that stuff. Has to be
Oh, yeah, because it
I
didn't
think
mail out.
I mean, they have a deadline of what needs to be put on the ballot to send it to whoever, I guess. It is the way I understood what Lisa Weber told me. And,
Is this
She
an
talked to me.
existing beer sales place,
It doesn't.
like the shortstop or the grocery store, or is this?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would imagine liquor stores, grocery
Liquor
stores.
stores, or
It's-
it rereads
Liquor
liquor
stores.
stores. Liquor
Liquor
stores.
stores can't be open on Sunday.
Yes, they can.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, they can.
What's his name?
One on Stafford is.
Yep,
He's on-
yep,
It didn't used to be.
It can't be
Yeah, they can
St.
now.
John.
Not St. John.
yeah. They can if this passes, though, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
they
that
will.
church
If
is
they
swinging
If he
over.
chooses
Yeah.
to.
Right.
Your ordinance adopts city or state law right now, which says it can't be open on Sunday.
Right.
But the state says you can change that to be open on Sunday, so you're just changing your ordinance. I mean, I'll look at it, maybe you just want to hold off and then, so that it's on the next one, not necessarily this one.
I wonder how long we got though to make sure it gets
I
on the
mean,
ballot if that's the way we choose. I mean, I don't want to petition and then us have to pay for a special
Exactly.
election.
Exactly.
Well, he can look into drafting, and I'll talk to Anita tomorrow and get a hold of you, John, to see if we want to go forward.
And just find out what the deadline is. for November 11th.
Actually, the only one it's gonna affect is the shortstop, correct?
Right now.
No,
Liquor
it-
store,
well,
liquor store.
If you
Yeah,
change
liquor
it,
stores.
but without
If we get a
changing
grocery
it,
store.
it wouldn't affect the liquor store because it can't be open now. Unless you change.
But it would be their choice to be open.
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
it's not saying they have to be open. A lot of people want Sundays off and stuff.
I'm not against it at all.
I'm not against it either, I'm just, I'm not speaking for myself, we're speaking for the whole city of St. John.
Right.
I mean,
That's kind of what
I mean, I don't
And-
care
and
whether
if
it's
the
open,
staff
whether they
would
sell it on
there's the-
Sunday or not.
the vote.
But like I said, I've heard from enough citizens that I think it, instead of us sitting here saying, let's do it, if we can put it on a ballot, let the citizens vote it in or else. But that's just how I feel about it. I mean, so I guess check and see if that's all right with everybody.
Find out the deadline too. That'd be great.
Okay. On to my next one. So, speaking of trying to get people downtown and more involved with things going on and me needing a area down there to help my movie projection, because I want to start having movies down in the square, I called, you have to have a movie license. They're not very cheap, but my thinking behind that is communicating with like the local businesses and getting several businesses to sponsor like a movie night in the park every once in a while, and then maybe have like popcorn and different things, and then I would put like a Jubilee donation can out. I'm not going to charge because then that gets in with the fees of the movie license. The first quotes that they told me scared me a little bit because they quoted me for 200 people or less, and that's $285 to $425. But I got that down to 50 people because I told them, we're just starting, we don't know what we're doing yet, and so the rates did go down to $185 to $250, and then if I were to do like a package, I could do 3 movies and get 15% off, and 5 movies with 20% off. And like I said, most of it will be, I'm going to try to get like area businesses to donate and sponsor, and then in turn I'll do like promotion on the Facebook page or some advertisement type things. So I just kind of wanted to, I don't know if I need your approval or how that works, but that's just some of the ideas that have been going on. I did look up on Amazon, they have, think it's like a piece of felt almost, and they use it as a movie screen. And I believe it's 9 feet by 16 feet. And then they have like little attachment things that I could just attach it to like a board if Jeff wanted to build me one. So, that's my bright idea. I don't know if you guys...
Well, that's better than the first one I heard, which was the backdrop from the Jubilee.
Yeah,
So we're getting better.
We're getting better. He told me the Jubilee backdrop.
We couldn't keep it stood up. That was a big problem. Not if the wind comes up.
Yeah.
It'd end up in Willinger shop if you set it over here in the square.
Again, I think something like that is a good idea because it draws people in.
Yeah.
And you start building more of a community feeling.
Yes.
And I think it's a good idea. I would continue to look into it. You might even want to look at some of those inflatable screens.
Yeah.
Because
Like the
I know,
waters.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I know that's what we were thinking about doing ourselves
Yeah,
with
you
the hot
said
summer
that.
nights, right?
Yeah.
So,
The only reason I was looking into the other one is because we could purchase that, and if we wanted to continue to do it, it wouldn't be a rent expense, it would just be the flat. But we'll continue.
That's a great idea, Jimmy.
I say keep on
Yep.
with it.
And then if everyone wants to take off work on the 21st for the solar eclipse,
Where are we going?
I don't know yet. I haven't got that far.
I've got work to do.
I think it's at 1 o'clock. That's my downfall. And everyone thinks they have work to do.
They lock the office door for the solar eclipse. Be back soon.
Okay, the last one, the phone systems got hacked like a month ago and made some like weird international calls. When I talked to CenturyLink, they told me to talk to our phone provider. Well, no one in the office knew who we even got our phones from. It ended up being Golden Bill. But I talked to the guy today, and he just kind of discussed different options. He's going to get me a quote together. We should have it by the next council meeting. They might even come to speak to you guys. I believe that we're paying double what we need to be paying. But in turn, our phone systems are horrid. I mean, outdated. Really just, really too much for what we do. Like, my intercom system is, hey Pam, you have a phone call. You know, like, I don't really need a transfer button. But, so we kind of looked at different options for different phone systems and reducing our bill. Like,
I'm all for that.
I think our last check that, I don't know if it's on that one, it was like $1,300
A month?
just for phones and fax machines in here in all of our areas.
We started chasing this early last spring. We had phone pairs going to well houses that we used to control our water wells with. We were paying so much, an eighth of a mile or whatever it is for those phone pairs. Well, we haven't done it since 2012 or 13 when we went to the nitrate plant, because now it's all radio control. So we're paying $300 or $400 a month for those phone pairs. See? So we started diving into it. There's quite a bit of stuff on there that we can eliminate pretty quick. So,
I'm all right with changing that.
yep. And eventually we'd like to radio control the other stuff and be able to read it. We'll knock it down some more. So.
Any other questions for Jamie?
I don't think so.
Moving on, City Superintendent Jeff.
Just a couple of things for information. We've started to do some repair work on some curbs. David's been working on some stuff over around the school, because school's going to start here pretty quick. Handicap ramp in front of the high school, a few things like that. We are going to rent an asphalt planer next week from White Star in Wichita. We had originally planned, and I had cut a deal with the former superintendent in Stafford. They have one, but since then there's been a change in command, and there's quite a few less people, and Jerry just doesn't feel like he has the manpower to be able to come over and do this when we want it done. So David and I sat down and talked, and he did some calling, and we're going to try out a 40-inch asphalt planer from White Star next week. We need to get started. We got material here. And of course, with everything else, we haven't gotten to the asphalt yet, but we're gonna start now. We're gonna start really hard. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mill the edges. We're gonna start down on First Street in some spots. We're gonna try a practice run over on Monroe in between First and Second where the asphalt's broke up really bad. But what we're wanting to see is it pulverize that material so that it's usable material when I get done. In the past, we've done some different things. We've tried different types of blades on our grader, different things like that. But when you set a grader blade or a scarifier teeth down in an asphalt street, you just destroy it. There's no other way to put it. You've got no control over where it starts and where it stops. And I think, you know, after the estimates that we'd had to repair First Street, and of course with you allowing me to buy that skid steer last winter, why? This is the last piece of the puzzle. We need to be able to make things work and work at our convenience, and be able to take out. We don't want to try and rip 4 blocks or 5 blocks at a time on First Street. I mean, we just don't. We want to try and do it a block at a time so that we don't hinder the traffic. There's a lot of traffic coming through there, you know, even though no bigger than we are. So we want to do it 1 block at a time and jog people around and get them back. But I would like for the council, at your convenience, sometime during the course of next week, to come by and watch that thing run, see what it does. It costs $1,000 a week, $1,035 a week to rent that machine. Like I said, it's 40 inches wide. It's a high flow machine. It's built to go on the skid steer that we bought. And so we'd like to take 8 to 10 feet out on the outside edges because the semis and stuff, that's where the asphalt's rolled out. See what kind of material we come up with, whether it's usable material, whether it's all dirt, you know, what it is. And from there, then we'll see just how useful a piece of equipment it is. And whether it justifies looking any farther into maybe, you know, they've made us a pretty good offer on buying a new machine at about a 33% discount over what regular people pay for because of the government discount. But we want to look at this machine first before we jump any farther and let you guys look at it and see what you think.
What is that price to you?
Just a little over 20,000, which is 20 weeks of work. 2167, I think, and the money's in the budget to do it. You know, we bought material this year out of last year's budget, and we took some out of this year, but there's still quite a little bit in there. But our thinking is that if we can get 5 or 6 weeks of this a year and do it at our convenience with our crew, we've got 1,200 ton of material down there that we can stretch clear down First Street, we think, by being able to recover and reuse part of this. And in turn, then we can also use it in the alleys, you know, other places. And if we get too much, we can sell it. We can sell it to 30 guys will buy it all the time. So, but it's an experiment at this point because we've never had the chance to be able to do this. So we really don't know what we're going to see. We have an idea from the videos we've seen of what kind of material we're going to get, and we might be able to recover and reuse maybe 40 to 50% of it underneath as a base. So in that in turn, it's going to save asphalt material at $53 a ton. So we want to try it, but we don't want to rent it over a week or two, you know, before we decide that if we're going to use 6 weeks of it, that's 30% of the cost of the purchase. So we want to see how fast we can do this, how fast we can recover, what kind of time frame we're looking at. So that's basically what we're doing.
What did Stafford pay for theirs?
They paid $110,000 for the one they got. Now it's 8 inches. It's 8 inches bigger than what this one is. It's 48, and this one is 40. But this one is,
They've used it one time.
yeah, and this one is 8 inches narrower, but it's designed to work with a machine that we own. That's what it's made for. So it uses strictly just runs off the hydraulics. There's no external motor, no nothing else. It just that's the way it runs. So we want to try it and see. You know, we've got if we counted every block that needs work, we'd be on fingers and toes about 3 times. So, you know, if it does come to the point that it looks like it might be an option to purchase it, why? We think it's a usable piece of equipment that can be used for a long time. So, anyway, that's kind of where we're at. We're just in the middle of summer here, you know, and we're just going along and trying to keep our electric problems down to a minimum. And but we're doing some concrete work, some really badly needed concrete work. And like I said, Dave's been doing some patching, some experimenting with some stuff that, and the other plus to this machine is that if we tear up a street for a water service or whatever, we can cut a clean cut, dig inside of the cut, and then repair it back. So, without destroying it with a backhoe, you know. So, we had a bad water leak Saturday. Thankfully, all the guys were on deck, and about 5 hours later, 3 tank trucks and a 2-inch pump and a vac truck, why, we got it shut off. So, anyway. But that's just regular duty. So, other than that, that's all I have.
So you're just doing edges then?
We're going to go out 8 to 10 feet out from down on First Street. We want to start somewhere around Monroe because all of those are tore up clear out to where the curve ends at Kindlewood. So that'd be the first shot right there. But you know, whether we have the material, it's whether, you know, the council chooses to spend the time to rent one or whether we want to go ahead and try and buy something. We'll see what we get in the first block or two, and then that'll kind of let us know, you know, what we got and what it'll do for us. So
You're gonna start this on Monday?
we're Dave's. I think I'm trying to pick up the machine either Friday or Monday morning. So
Okay.
we'll have it all week.
Okay.
Not a big deal. So
I
you
have the
know.
notice on Facebook. Please go share.
I got the text on that, so yeah.
So when we do that, we'll block off and reroute a block, and we'll take it and we'll mark it out there, and we'll see what we get.
What is there an hour machine on it?
Hours? No. Unlimited hours
I
for a
suggest
week.
you run it 8 hours a day.
We're going to run it just as hard as we can. We're going to keep somebody in it. I told Dave I wouldn't even, you know, if it goes good, I wouldn't even mind paying a little overtime to get what we need, but we don't want to destroy too much at a time.
Right.
Because what happens is, you know, that we won't be able to repair it. We want to try and get these opened and closed and opened back up within just a short amount of time. The trucks, you know, we got enough trucks coming through town. I know that we've got a lot of semis coming through, and we're going to try and base it on a half a block at a time, so that the only time we'll have the whole street blocked off is when we drop the asphalt that we're going to lay in and get it bladed up so we can roll it over in the home. So otherwise, we're going to work a half a street at a time. So, and try and convenience, you know, not inconvenience the public too much. We'll even see if we get into some brick. It's supposedly we'll grind brick, so we'll see.
That grinds it up, she's down the truck.
Puts it right underneath it, puts it right back underneath it. And then we can take out what we want, we'll broom it off, we'll tack it, we'll pack it and tack it, and we'll lay the new right back on top of it. Revitalize part of the material. The only thing we don't know at this point is how deep the asphalt is. Because if there's a lot of material there, then we do better trying to recover it and tack it, but if it's dirt, no, we don't. So we know we got soil cement in some places, which is nothing more than a mixture of clay and Portland cement, which is the way a lot of these streets were laid. A lot of them were just tacked and sealed year after year. So we may only have the A-lines, you know, it's hard to say. So, but we're hoping that what we can do is on some of these side streets where they're raised up above the curb, that we can plane the top off of them and get that drainage back, which in turn, I know of one block in particular because I look at it every morning down by my mother's house where it's raised up about this high above the curb. And if we can go in there with that planer, we can peel that off back to curb height and stay away from the crown and stay away from the manholes, then we can reseal that street, and we've saved having to spend thousands of dollars probably to tear it up and relay it, plus time. So we're going to run it through the paces and see what we can get. So everybody knows that they better wear orderly boots next week because that's what we're going to do. So anyway, we're excited about it. We've seen some really good things. We think it will save, in the long run, save a lot of material, save a lot of time, and save quite a bit of money. So anyway, and get the streets kind of back in shape before winter as much as we can. The guys have been spraying weeds left and right. They're killing them. So we've been busy. But this is kind of the thing that we're kind of excited about. We're going to give it a shot and see what it does. So that's all I have.
Any questions for Jeff? Keep going.
You know, one thing I have,
Open meetings law change.
You had a question?
Yeah, I had a question.
Oh,
On that planer also, it has side shift. So if we have an area where we need to come around a little bit, we can side shift that over a little bit. I think there's about 1.5 foot side shift. But it'll take, according to Jim up there at White Star, from a 1/2 inch to 6 inches. So we can, it's hydraulic adjust where we can peel off only what we need to. But like Jeff said, time, money, we want to try it, rent it for a week, just try it.
We're gonna get our money's worth out of it.
There you go. Is it laser guided? What is it?
I think you can put a laser attachment on it, can you not,
Yes.
David? It doesn't come that way, but you can put a laser, a leveling attachment on it.
How do you keep it level?
Well, you
What
can
is-
set it, we follow along the curb height,
Okay.
and then cut
So you
from
curve
there.
on one side.
Yeah,
It has guides.
and you
basically.
can bevel it however much you want to, it has quite a few options, so.
And also, there's no cutting, taking the saw and walking and cutting it. That machine cuts straight lines. Where all we gotta do is pull it out, tag it, lay it back in.
That's something we've done before is we've taken our concrete saw and patches and we've had to put a guy out there and cut squares to keep from making jagged edges. And it's fairly time consuming just to cut them, and where we can just come along and set this thing in and peel out what we want, pick it right back up and go on. So it has a lot of good options that we're excited to use. So we'll see how it works. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
There was a change this last winter in the Open Meetings Act that took effect this July 1. And so I just printed out the league's handout, and I've tried to be, when I'm talking about how to make a motion, specific enough where this may be already second nature, but essentially instead of just citing the reason for the open meetings or the executive session exemption, you have to give the subject matter. So instead of saying, the example they use is instead of saying that the executive session is necessary to protect somebody's privacy, you have to say what subject is being discussed. If it's discussed in executive session or intended to be discussed, a review of an employee for purposes of determining salary or pay increase, then that just needs to be said in the motion, and then I'll work with Jamie making sure that the minutes reflect what they need to reflect according to the changes. So it's just a little bit, they added a subject requirement, which we tried to do all along. So.
I do go to training at the end of this month, so I'll know how to run the meetings.
The rest of us get to go to keep from getting spanked.
Yeah.
Any questions for John on
Me and the mayor.
open meetings?
Me and the mayor.
Moving on. You want to talk about old business, house violations? How about new business? No old business, no new business. I need a 15-minute. I need somebody to make a motion for a 15-minute executive session on a review of the review of a. I don't want to say this and not get in trouble.
Personnel.
Review on a.
I mean, it's just a review of an individual's personnel review. For
A personnel review.
Purposes of discussing pay increases or purposes of annual review, or I don't know what.
It's an annual review and purchase or talking about.
And statutory exemption would be non-elected personnel.
Non-elected personnel.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0.